Today I'm going to show you all how to make these pillowy soft dinner rolls. Alright, so the first step in our dinner rolls is to bloom our yeast, which I actually went ahead and do. Here we just have the warm water, regular full cream milk, dissolve the yeast into it, and we let it just bloom for about 15 minutes. This helps to kickstart the fermentation process and shortens the overall time for the dinner rolls. So we're going straight into the mixer with this. And to that, we're just gonna add in our granulated sugar. You could use brown sugar, but just to help with the overall color, you know, dinner roll has that classic light brown, very white interior color. So we wanna try our best to achieve that. So for that reason, we're using granulated sugar. Of course, if you prefer brown sugar or honey, you could go ahead and use that too. And just some salt and some Lion brand baking powder. The combination of baking powder and yeast is what's gonna give the dinner rolls its signature light, fluffy texture. And of course, the yeast we're using today is Saf instant yeast. The first thing we wanna do, we wanna mix this for about 5 minutes on low speed. And now, while it's mixing, I'll gradually add in our lotus baking flour. I went ahead and sifted it. You know, sifting just helps to remove all the excess lumps. You wanna just let this knead at low speed for about 5 minutes. And after that, we'll kick it up to medium speed for another 5 minutes. You wanna take your time and let your dough knead very well. This is what's gonna give you that tight crumb texture. We're not gonna add in any fat just as yet. We wanna allow the starch to absorb all the liquid, all the milk, all the water. Let it get the protein working in the dough, get those gluten strands working. Let it form that basket weave before we add in the fat. Just gonna continue to let it mix. And while you're here, you could always, you know, if you need to just stop it for a quick second, raise up, just give your bowl a little scrape. It generally cleans itself. Right, back down, lock your bowl in place, low speed. Alright, and just as you're on the 5-minute mark here, I'm gonna show you another quick trick. So if you're seeing like all this excess flour and thing, you can just break off a piece of the dough. And rather than you worrying about getting a cloth to wipe it, just use the dough because all this flour is part of the ingredients, yeah? So you just clean around it, the excess flour around the bowl, lock your bowl in place. Turn back on your stopwatch, and we're going up to medium speed now. Now depending on your mixer, you may have to hold on to it. This one tends to move around a little bit. Alright, so right at the 10-minute mark, just gonna stop it. If it's poking out like this here, that's alright. You're just gonna bring it back down. Lock it in place, and you're just taking a warm, damp cloth and covering your bowl, because you can leave it right in your bowl. You don't need to take it out, because we're coming back to it to add the fat, to add the butter. So we're gonna start back and just let it sit for about 20 minutes. This will allow the dough to rest and relax, allow the protein in it to relax, open up its pores, absorb more of the liquid, and be ready to absorb our unsalted butter. Alright, so we'll come back in 20 minutes. Alright, so we just under the 30-minute mark here. That's 10 minutes of mixing in your stand mixer, 20 minutes of rest. So we're just gonna uncover, and you can see it already starting to rise or proof. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna be adding in our unsalted butter or margarine. And you want this at room temperature, okay? Because you want this to be incorporated relatively easy and quickly. So let me just stop our stopwatch here. I'm gonna reset the stopwatch because we want 3 minutes on low speed, and during that 3 minutes we want to get all of our butter or margarine in. Now what's going to happen here, the fat is going to separate the dough, but while mixing it will come back together. So don't get scared if you see all of a sudden your dough separating into pieces or anything like that. And you want to probably add in your butter in about four different times. So you can just divide it into 4 and add it in. Right, so you got the 2-minute mark here, so just gonna add in the rest of our butter. Right, so you see like how a piece broke off here? That's just because of the fat, so just allow it. Don't get scared. Just allow it some time to reabsorb the moisture and continue to knead. Right, so we are the 3-minute mark here, so that's going to increase the speed to about medium or just under medium. The main reason for increasing the speed is because we don't want to over mix it, and more importantly, we don't want to mix it for too long, because the longer it mix is the hotter the temperature, the overall temperature of the dough gets. So that's the main reason for mixing it at the 2 different speeds. First slow, just to incorporate most of the butter, and then at a higher speed to bring everything together. Now of course, if while you're mixing it here and you notice, pieces or chunks of dough flying out of the bowl, by all means, just reduce the speed, allow it to come together, and then just raise it back up, yeah? Because you have to use some common sense here too. So if you notice, maybe 30 seconds ago, the entire bowl was probably covered in butter. Just by raising up the speed, look at how it's, reincorporated all of the butter, all of the separated pieces of dough. 4.5-minute mark here. Alright, so what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna help it out a lot. So I'm just gonna clean here. Oh, and why we're not using shortening is because I find like with dinner rolls, you should always get that buttery, nutty, rich, aroma, texture that only butter is going to give you. Alright, so back up to medium. So we're just gonna give it about a minute again. Alright, so let me raise it up and show you. Alright, so that's move this to show you a little better. Alright, so you realize it's not sticking to my hand. My hand actually is leaving some of the fat on it to get a little sheen. So this is what we're looking for. Nice, soft, relatively smooth ball of dough. So what we're gonna do now, we're just gonna transfer this to a grease bowl, and we want this to sit and rest until it's double in size. Again, that is mainly determined by the ambient temperature of the space you're working in. So we here in the Caribbean is very humid. So this may probably take only about 30 minutes at about 80 degrees Fahrenheit or so. We're just gonna leave it, watch it. As soon as it's double in size, we'll move on to the next step. All right, so here it is in the bowl. I like to cover it with cling because that way you can actually see it. But again, what we want to do, we want this to double in size. I think here, just based on me making this a few times, it should take no more than 20 to 30 minutes. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to place it. I mean, you can leave it on your counter. Again, it really depends on the temperature of your working environment. But just to ensure even rise, I'm going to place it in the microwave where the temperatures are a little more controlled. All right, so as you can see, our dinner rolls has more than double in size, to be honest, and it probably just took about 15 minutes, so I said, and that is largely based on the temperature of your working environment. So what we're gonna do here now is, we're gonna punch it down, get all that excess air out, get our dough on the counter, and what we wanna do now, we wanna just measure for 2-ounce pieces. Of course, I definitely wouldn't recommend going anything more than 2 ounces. You could do one ounce if you want it very small. You could do 1.5 ounce. Yeah, or anything close to 2 ounces. You don't need to be very accurate. Anything like 1.9, 2.10, anything like that. Yeah. So I'm just gonna individually weigh each one, and then we'll move on to the next step where I'll show you how to shape it and prep it for the pan for its final rise. Always make sure your scale is zeroed. Right, time to shape now. So you always want to start with the one you did first, right? So we start in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, then we go in here, then we go in here. So all right, let me put this pan here so y'all could see. I'll just do it in my hand to make it easy. So what you want to do, a tight tuck in your fingers, and what we're doing, we're basically just tucking in the sides just to tighten our ball of dough. Yeah, sometimes you see people doing this upside down. You see them doing it like this, bringing it in. I'm using a quarter sheet with about an inch wall because I want my dinner rolls to be nice and plump and rise up. All right, or you could do it with your 2 hands. Again, it's really up to you what you're comfortable with. That looks pretty even there. All right, so for the last step, show you a little trick. You don't have to do this, but I like to do it because it gives it a little signature look and it also helps to remove any excess air. So you just take a toothpick, wet it with water, straight down the middle. Lovely. So what we're gonna do now, back into the microwave, and we wanna let this rise for about an hour. What am I looking for? Do I want it to touch? Yeah, they could touch. They should get some more height. Ideally, at least, very least, double in size. But again, you know, depending on your working environment, that may take an hour, it may take 90 minutes, it may take 2 hours. What I would say is don't rush the process. Allow it to rise and allow it to get to that desired shape and size. All right, so we're gonna pop it in the microwave. Time to check on our rolls. So why I like the quarter-inch pan is because I want my dinner rolls to climb up instead of spreading wide. You know, they did both, but I like them a little tall. So what we're gonna do, we just go in, let me just open up the oven here, and we're going straight into the oven. And you wanna be gentle with your rolls. I don't want them to drop. So we have the oven set at 350 degrees, and we're gonna bake this for about 15 to 20 minutes. I'll rotate it halfway through. We're halfway through the bacon and dinner rolls, so we just want to rotate, and we'll just show you one time. Just pull it out slightly. Again, you don't want to leave the oven open for too long. It's going to rotate. And just based on how it's looking here, it's already been in for 10 minutes. So we just need about 5 minutes again. All right, so now it's time to take out our rolls. Oh yeah. So just to finish, what I like to do, just brush on some butter. I mean, you can't go wrong with more butter, right? And just to elevate it a little more, just some sea salt. Of course, you don't have to do this, but I just like the enhanced flavor. Right, there you go. All right, y'all, so we come to the best part, the tasting part. Let's come in here, so check this out. Look at how soft. Look at how soft. Let's break into this bad boy. Oh yeah. Wow. Oh yeah. Look at that. Oh yeah. The sweetness from the sugar, the milk, the saltiness from the butter, the sea salt, so soft, light. Again, you know, the power of the combination of the yeast and the baking powder. Perfect. And one thing I actually forgot to tell you, y'all could use this exact recipe to make hot dog bread or hamburger bread. So this, yes, we just made dinner rolls here, but this is a multi-purpose dough. You could even make like monkey bread where you put it in a cake pan, and once it's in the oven, like every 5 or 10 minutes, you just brush it with like garlic butter or something like that. So much things you could do with this. Hope you all enjoyed this one. Be sure to send us your pictures, videos when you all make it, and your feedback. We always love to hear from you also. Bye.